Well, it's personal between me and you, and I'm going to do you some serious harm, you big stiff idiot.
The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, you know what it is. We're here in San Antonio, Lone Star State, Texas. Big chilling in the Airbnb. You know, your boy BT, True School Sports, The Untouchable, doing big things, having a great time, talking boxing. You know, we got the chandelier in the bathroom. Ain't nobody ever did it like that. And that chandelier in the bathroom, I keep waiting for it to get old. It hasn't gotten old yet, but you know, we're having a good time. But listen, man, all jokes aside, I wanted to take the time to talk about Gilberto Ramirez because I'm gonna raise my hand. You know, I'm very accountable. You know, a winner, what a winner and a real leader does in life is they take 100% accountability, responsibility for everything in their life, and that's how I am in my life. I'll be honest, man. I was going through my archives and I was looking at like how many Gilberto Ramirez videos have I made over the years, and I'll be honest, I don't think it's been quite enough. I really don't think it's been quite enough for a guy that's been at the top level for so long, you know. And I want to say, you know, I've spent the last 2 to 3 hours right here, right over there, right where that computer is on the bed, just sinking my teeth into Gilberto Ramirez's career, going back, watching a couple old fights, you know, reading articles about him from years ago to now, going through his Instagram page, just trying to find out anything I can about Gilberto Ramirez and learn more about him. And I've learned a lot about him in the last couple hours. And I gotta say, man, I'm gonna say it. Gilberto Ramirez does not get talked about enough by me, and he doesn't get talked about enough by the boxing media at large. He is, hands down, without a shadow of a doubt, the most underrated Mexican fighter in boxing. Straight up, I'm gonna say it like that. You know, when you watch the tape, resume aside, I mean, he's got a good resume, a better resume than people think, but resume aside, Gilberto Ramirez does a lot of things to love in the boxing ring. You know, Gilberto Ramirez, when you watch him fight, he's very composed in that pocket. He does, his two best traits are, number one, I would say, is determination. He doesn't get discouraged when you hit him. And he's not easy to hit, but he doesn't get discouraged when you do hit him. He's willing to sit there and have a fight, and you need to really be willing to die in the ring to beat up a guy like Gilberto Ramirez. He has a very good presence about him, a very good body language in the ring. He holds his ground very well. You know, there's a lot of fighters in this day and age in the post Mayweather era where everybody wants to box and move, but they're not even boxers, movers like that. They get a couple punches thrown at them, and they don't want to hold their ground and try to hit the other opponent to get their respect. They want to just automatically move without trying to get their opponent's respect. Gilberto does a great job of holding his ground, and that's what I love about him the most. But I'm gonna say this, man. I'm making this video because Gilberto Ramirez, obviously I'm covering his fight this weekend, and I really think I'm honest. I think I've done him an injustice. I have overlooked him. And listen, man, it's tough sometimes. Like, I'm only one man. I cover a lot of fucking boxing. Excuse my language, but I cover a lot of boxing. And sometimes fighters like Gilberto, who are very talented, you know, they get overlooked because they don't talk a lot in the media. They don't, you know, they're very soft-spoken. And you know, they don't have like a big push from the media, so sometimes they get lost in translation. But let it be known, December 14th, 2021, you know, I will be making a concerted effort to cover Gilberto Ramirez's career more because I think he's a damn good fighter. And I was going back, and he does a lot of things. Like, another thing that I love that he does is he has the true Mexican style. A lot of times people say Mexican style this, Mexican style that. Gilberto Ramirez has the true Mexican style. Very economical, very efficient. Throws one of the best liver shots in boxing. I mean, go back and watch the liver shot he stopped Sullivan Barrera with. It was just something masterful. He's a very good fighter. I know people may criticize the resume and say, oh, well, he's 42-0, but he hasn't fought nobody, which is very intellectually dishonest, because if you go look at his resume, in 2015, he beat Maxime Vlasov, who just challenged for the world title against Joe Smith Jr. A lot of people thought Vlasov won that fight. Vlasov's a top fighter at 175, a very good fighter at 175. Beat him. He beat Jesse Hart twice when Jesse Hart was looked at to be a future world champion to most. as a prospect, beat him twice, stop that hype train. Jesse Hart got relegated to fighting in Philadelphia on local club shows because of Gilberto Ramirez. You know, fought Sullivan Barrera's last fight. You know, the wildly veteran, an older Sullivan Barrera, but you know, he had to show the extra bit of quality to land the shots that he landed, and he did. So to stop a guy like Sullivan Barrera in the 4th round, it's a credit to what Gilberto Ramirez is doing, you know? And that's only the tip of the iceberg. He's been a couple other good fighters as well, and now he's fighting another one in Yuniesi Gonzalez, who's challenged for the world title, who had that fight with John Pascal years ago that a lot of people thought he won. And Gonzalez can punch, so this is a good fight to be at. But listen, I wanted to talk about Gilberto Ramirez in a couple different ways. The main point of this video, aside from what I said, I know I'm rambling, but you know, I want to give Gilberto Ramirez some shine because I am at his fight. It's only right that I talk about the guy in the main event that people are coming to see. Gilberto Ramirez is a fighter that he's been linked. He's always been around and linked to big fights, but he's seemingly never been able to get those big fights back when he was signed with the top-ranking Bob Arum. Gilberto Ramirez, in my humble opinion, there's only if he does what he's supposed to do and takes care of business and defeats Yuniesi Gonzalez, there's really only one fight out there that, to me, that above all else, this matchup is above all matchups. And after really sinking my teeth in and going into the tape, knowing what he brings into the table, knowing what Dmitry Bivol brings to the table, I'm gonna say it like this, and y'all can criticize me all you want, but for my money, the best matchup in boxing, the best fight in boxing, it's not no Canelo versus Benavidez. It's not no damn Chocolatito versus Strata 3. It's not no damn Crawford versus Spence or Spence versus Ennis. It's not none of them fights. It's not Fury versus Usyk. The best fight in boxing, in my humble opinion, from my perspective, is Gilberto Ramirez versus Dmitry Bivol. That is the best fight in boxing. I'm going to explain to you why, and I'm going to give you guys a little a breakdown, and then we'll talk about a little bit more with Gilberto, and then we'll close the video out. But like, it's a great matchup because it's the ultimate clash of styles. You got Gilberto Ramirez, who is in my opinion, he has the real Mexican style, which is that throwback seek and destroy Mexican style. And that's with that kind of style, right? One thing you must understand, with that kind of style, you really have to, if for the opponent, that kind of style when it's done properly, it makes the opponent have to fight. Even if the opponent is a boxer per se, if he's a technical boxer or a boxing genius, so to speak, he's gonna have to fight his way out of that opponent with that style will do to get to what he wants to do, and it becomes this constant cat and mouse game. You know what I'm saying? So the reason I like this fight is because it's the ultimate clash of styles. Bivol is a technician. I mean, an absolute technician. People want to criticize Bivol. He got criticized again this weekend because he fought Umar Salamov, who he was a much better fighter than, and he didn't stop him. If you go look at Bivol's last 6 fights, he hasn't stopped anybody. He hasn't stopped anybody since he stopped Sullivan Barrera in 2018. Well, you know, he's outboxed Joe Smith Jr., he's outboxed Isaac Chilemba, he's outboxed Craig Richards, outboxing Salamov. He has mastered the art of how to win a 12-round fight, and people criticize him for it. It's like George Foreman said, the boxing is a lot like jazz. The better you do it, the less they appreciate it, and I feel like that quote applies to Bivol. But the good thing about if that fight were to happen with Bivol and with Gilberto, I truthfully believe in my heart of hearts that Gilberto Ramirez has a style. He has the intelligence. He has the application of that seek and destroy Mexican style to make Bivol have to dig into his toolbox and fight. And that's a beautiful thing because Bivol has been, in my opinion, Bivol has been getting bored. He's too good for most of this division. You got to understand, this guy was a high-level, one of the best amateurs in the world for a long, long time before he turned pro. And he mastered boxing in its purest form. So in order to beat him, you're either going to need to be an elite seek and destroy type of fighter, or you're going to need to be a master technician yourself. And the guys he's been fighting aren't, you know, they're good fighters, but they're not those things. Gilberto Ramirez, in my humble opinion, he is an elite seek and destroy fighter. They came up differently. Dmitry Bivol was owning the amateur ranks and showing the great sweet science of boxing and all that. Gilberto was making his name in the gyms in Sinaloa, Mexico. Okay, sparring Jose Luis Cruz, the former contender that fought Shane Mosley and whatnot. He was sparring him and really testing himself in the gym as a kid. I was reading an article just now. They said Gilberto Ramirez, when he was like 16, he sparred Jose Luis Cruz, who had already fought Shane Mosley and a couple other guys. And Cruz beat Ramirez so badly up at 16 years old, he made Gilberto Ramirez cry and get out the gym. But he kept coming back. He kept showing that determination. And that determination that Gilberto got in the gyms as a kid, it's made him to the fighter he is today. With that being said, with that being established here on True School Sports, this fight all the way around the board, when I look at it all the way around the board, it's a fight where these two guys are polar opposites in every way. Bivol's from Kyrgyzstan, a country most people never heard of, and dominated the amateur ranks and has a very classy technical style. Gilberto Ramirez is from Mexico, one of the boxing powerhouses in the sport. Came up in rough, tough gyms, and his style is very much no nonsense, seek and destroy. I'm coming to hand out rib dinners and punish you. That type of style. So I like that style because I like that matchup. I like the style clash because you get a good fight. You'll really see who's the better fighter of the two because they're so different. And on top of that, Bivol is looked at by many to be the best light heavyweight in the world. And rest in peace to Pernell Whitaker. Pernell Whitaker, before he passed away, went to one of Bivol's fights, and he said that Bivol has all the ingredients to be the pound for pound #1 fighter in the world, and that's a high praise to live up to. Gilberto Ramirez kind of gets lost in the shuffle because Canelo, the emergence of Canelo and the other Mexican fighters in boxing. People forget that Gilberto Ramirez was the first super middleweight Mexican world champion, the first Mexican to win a super middleweight world title. And really, he should be getting more consideration for a Canelo fight, but that's another discussion for another video and some interviews that I got coming up this week. This is about Bivol versus Ramirez. I really think this is the best fight in boxing. It's not none of those fights you guys hype up. It's this fight. And the best part about this fight is I think if it were to happen next, it's a fight where I really believe Bivol needs Zurdo, and I believe Zurdo needs Bivol, because the reality is this. Let's just call a spade a spade. Canelo Alvarez don't want no smoke with a lot of fighters. He's ducking. Canelo Alvarez is avoiding a lot of fighters going to cruiserweight, trying to get real creative with these styling tactics. Even if he was at 168 or 175, Gilberto Ramirez would be low on that list. Gilberto Ramirez is Mexican. Canelo says he doesn't want to fight Mexicans because he represents Mexico. He doesn't want to share no spotlight with none of his countrymen. Bivol, we know that's not happening because why? It's money-wise, it don't make sense for Canelo, and it is what it is. So they're not gonna get a Canelo fight. So if they're praying and hoping and wishing on a star that they're gonna get that Canelo fight, it's not gonna happen. They need each other really, really bad in the worst way. And the style clash is great. They're both top light heavyweights. They both are polar opposites in how they came up. And I really think that fight is going to bring out the best. From the Bivol side of things, right? Because we can't just talk about Zurdo. From the Bivol side of things, if that fight were to ever happen, Bivol is a fighter that is a technician. And maybe if he's as good as we think he is, and I think he's freaking phenomenal. If Bivol is as good as we think he is, Bivol will make Gilberto have to outbox him in parts of that fight. So the constant Bull versus Matador, Matador versus Bull, the cat and mouse game of that fight, the style clash, where these guys are at in their careers, what that fight would signify for both of their careers, it's just such an amazing fight. Because people keep saying Bivol can't punch. They keep saying Bivol has no power. They keep saying Bivol doesn't have this, doesn't have that. Bivol doesn't have to have power, and he does. And people who say he doesn't have power are foolish. He does have power. He's just not sitting down in his shots because he hasn't fought any fighters that made him have to sit down in his shots. Gilberto was a guy where Bivol will have to, at some point in that fight, throw punches with bad intentions to keep him off. And that's the beautiful thing about that fight. Ramirez has to show that creativity to cut the ring off on Bivol to get past that lead hand. There's so many. Listen, if you are a boxing purist like myself, I'm gonna assume if you're subscribed to True School Sports, you are a hardcore boxing fan, because this channel, we make no ifs, ands, or qualms about it. This is a channel for hardcore boxing fans. This is a channel for boxing purists, right? And if you're a boxing purist, there's no way you can look at that matchup and like if it's a matchup you haven't really sat there and really deeply broken down like I just did for the last couple hours, don't comment on it. This fight is such a great fight, and I don't think there should be any more wasting of time. Bivol, Zurdo, we want it next year. It's one of the top fights I want to see in boxing next year. And for my money, style-wise, I know it doesn't generate the money of a lot of these Canelo fights or Spence Crawford. I know it doesn't have the bravado and the glitz and the glam of a lot of fights, but I'm telling y'all want to see a fucking great fight, we need to stop pushing for Zurdo versus Bivol. And I declare on this day, December the 14th or 15th, whatever day it is, that we will do that starting today. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. You guys make of that what you will. Take the time to subscribe and let me know what you think. Like, what do you think about Bivol versus Zurdo? Who do you think would win? How do you think it'll play out? And do you think it'll be an exciting fight, or do you think I'm blowing smoke and it'll be a boring fight, or will it be a fucking amazing fight like I'm saying it is? You know, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure you take the time to subscribe, and like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on True School Sports, the home of boxing. If you made it this far, do me a favor and do yourself a damn favor. Hit that subscribe button and surely you will not be disappointed. You know, True School Sports bringing you the latest and greatest, the untouchable, you know, boxing content, interviews, news videos, breakdowns, live fight reaction extravaganza. We've got a great community of people here, boxing fans all over the world, from America to the UK to Australia and on and on and on. So join the empire today. Hit that subscribe button. Take care and God bless.